My name is Arjun, and this is a story of how the most beautiful part of my life turned into the most painful nightmare. For many years, I believed I was living the perfect married life. I worked hard. I gave my wife everything she asked for, and I always thought love and trust were the strongest pillars of our relationship. To the outside world, we looked like the happiest couple, always smiling in pictures, holding hands in public, and giving people the impression that nothing could break us apart. But what people saw was only the surface. Behind closed doors, the reality of my marriage was very different. I married my wife, Riya, 5 years ago. She was not only beautiful, but also full of charm and energy. From the very first day, she made me feel special. She said I was the only man who truly understood her, and I believed her with all my heart. In those early days, every moment with her felt like a dream. She would cook my favorite meals, send me sweet messages during work, and sit beside me every evening to talk about our future. I thought I had found my soulmate. Life went smoothly for a while. I worked long hours at the office, trying to secure a better future for us. Riya, on the other hand, mostly stayed at home, but she also enjoyed going out with her friends. I never stopped her, because in my mind, trust was a foundation of love. Whenever she wanted something, I tried my best to provide it. Whether it was expensive clothes, jewelry, or small surprises, I enjoyed making her happy. But slowly, little things began to change. At first, they seemed minor. Riya started spending more time on her phone. She would smile while reading messages, but quickly hide the screen if I came close. Sometimes, she stayed awake late at night, pretending to scroll through social media, but I could sense that she was chatting with someone. When I asked her, she laughed and said I was being too suspicious. I didn't want to fight, so I ignored it. As months passed, she also became less interested in me. She stopped talking about our future. She stopped caring about small details of my day, things she once loved to hear. When I came home tired, she was either busy on her phone or too distracted to notice me. At first, I thought maybe she was just stressed or bored. I told myself, every marriage goes through phases. This is just temporary. But deep inside, a strange feeling grew in me, a fear that something was wrong. I could not point my finger at it, but I felt a wall rising between us. And what hurt the most was the thought that maybe, despite all my love and sacrifices, my wife no longer saw me the same way. That was the beginning of my painful journey. A journey where love would turn into betrayal and trust would turn into revenge. The days kept passing, but the uneasy feeling in my heart only grew stronger. Riya was no longer the same woman I had married. The small habits I once loved about her started to disappear. She no longer greeted me with a smile when I returned home from work. She rarely sat beside me during dinner. Most of the time, her eyes were fixed on her phone, and her fingers moved quickly, typing long messages. At first, I told myself not to overthink. I believed she might just be busy talking with her friends. But soon, I started noticing patterns that I could not ignore. Whenever her phone rang, she would quickly step away to answer it. If I asked who it was, she would give short answers like, just a friend or no one important. But her tone was different, and I could sense that she was hiding something from me. One evening, I returned home earlier than usual. Normally, she would be surprised and happy to see me home early. But that day, she seemed nervous. She quickly locked her phone and tried to act normal. I pretended not to notice, but inside, my doubts grew heavier. Late at night, when I tried to hug her, she turned away, saying she was too tired. The woman who once loved holding my hand now avoided even small touches. The distance between us was no longer invisible. It was real, and I could feel it. Then came small lies. She started telling me she was going to meet her college friends or cousins. Sometimes, she said she had to attend a family function, but strangely, she never allowed me to come with her. When I offered to drop her or pick her up, she quickly refused. At first, I respected her words, but deep inside, I started to wonder, why doesn't she want me there? Why does she always go alone? The biggest sign came from people outside. One of my close friends, Rohit, told me casually, "Hey Arjun, I think I saw Riya at the cafe yesterday. Wasn't she supposed to be out of town? My heart skipped a beat. I had trusted Riya's words without question, but now others were noticing her strange behavior too. Another time, one of my neighbors mentioned seeing her in the market with a man. When I asked Riya about it, she laughed it off and said, "Oh, you know how people gossip. Don't listen to them." Her laughter sounded fake, and I could see a flicker of fear in her eyes. I didn't want to believe she was cheating. My heart still wanted to trust her, but my mind kept showing me signs. I began to pay closer attention to her. I noticed she always dressed up more carefully whenever she said she was going out with friends. She wore perfume she never used at home. She spent extra time getting ready, something she never did just for me. The worst moment was when I accidentally walked into the room while she was texting. She didn't see me, and for a second, I noticed her phone screen. The message said, "I miss you too. Can't wait to see you again." My blood froze. When she realized I was standing there, she quickly locked her phone and forced a smile, pretending everything was fine. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing with questions. Who was she texting? Was it just a friend? Or was it something more? My heart refused to believe the worst, but my gut told me the truth. Riya was hiding someone in her life, someone who was not me. And that was when my suspicion turned into determination. I decided I would no longer ignore the signs. If my wife was really betraying me, I needed to know the truth. I needed proof. My suspicions were eating me alive. I could not concentrate at work. I could not sleep properly at night. And I could not look at Riya without wondering what secrets she was hiding behind that phone. I knew something was wrong, but I had no solid proof. Still, I was determined to find out the truth, even if it broke me completely. One Saturday afternoon, Riya told me she was going to meet an old college friend. I offered to drop her, but as usual, she refused. She left the house in a hurry, and I quietly followed her after a few minutes. I kept a safe distance so she wouldn't notice me. After some time, she stopped at a small cafe on the other side of the city. I parked my bike nearby and waited, and then I saw him. A man walked into the cafe, tall and confident, with a familiar face. I tried to remember where I had seen him before, and suddenly it hit me. He was the same man Riya had once told me about, her ex-boyfriend. I froze. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought it would burst out of my chest. Years ago, Riya had told me about this man, saying it was just a silly relationship from her past. She promised me that chapter was closed forever. Back then, I had believed her, because I trusted her completely. But now, in front of my eyes, she was sitting with him, smiling, laughing, holding his hand across the table like they were lovers. It felt like my entire world had collapsed in that single moment. I stayed hidden, watching them, though every second felt like torture. They looked too comfortable, too close, as if they had been meeting for a long time. The way she looked at him, eyes full of affection, was a look she had not given me in months. My stomach twisted in pain. When I returned home that evening, I could not even look at her. She came back later, pretending she had spent the day with her college friend. I nodded silently, but inside my heart screamed. I wanted to confront her right there, but something stopped me. My mind whispered, "Don't accuse her without proof. If you want justice, you need evidence she can't deny." That night, when she fell asleep, I quietly took her phone. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. Part of me prayed I was wrong. Part of me hoped there was nothing to find. But the truth was waiting for me in her messages. There it was, the proof. Dozens of chats with her ex-romantic words, late-night conversations, secret plans to meet. Messages like, "I miss the old days, you make me feel alive again, and can't wait to see you tomorrow." I scrolled further and saw photos of them together. Smiling selfies, stolen moments at restaurants, and even intimate pictures. My hands went cold. My chest felt heavy, as if someone had placed a stone on it. I had given her my trust, my love, my loyalty, and she had given her heart to another man. And not just any man, but her ex, the one she had promised was part of her past. Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. Instead, anger began to rise inside me. The betrayal cut deep, but along with the pain came a new thought. If she can betray me in secret, I will make her regret it in public. From that moment, my pain turned into a mission. I would not just confront her. I would gather enough evidence to expose her lies in front of everyone. I would make both her and her ex pay for what they did to me. This was no longer just about heartbreak. It was about revenge. After discovering the truth about Riya and her ex, my world was shattered. For days, I walked around with a heavy heart, pretending everything was normal. Inside, though, I was drowning in pain. Every time I looked at her face, I remembered the messages, the pictures, the way she smiled at him in that cafe. I wanted to scream, to shout, to confront her immediately, but I stopped myself. I realized that if I confronted her too soon, she would simply deny everything. She could delete the chats, erase the pictures, and twist the story to make me look like a jealous husband. No, I needed more. I needed proof so strong that no one could defend her. Proof that would expose her not only to me, but to everyone. So I made a plan. The first step was to secretly monitor her activities. I started observing her closely. Whenever she got dressed to meet her friends, I noted the time, the clothes she wore, and how long she stayed out. I even started keeping a diary, writing down every detail. Slowly, a pattern appeared. She always left the house at the same hours, always claimed she was with certain friends. But when I checked with those friends later, they had no idea what I was talking about. The second step was to follow her. It wasn't easy, but I learned to stay behind at a safe distance. A few times, I saw her going to the same cafe where she met her ex. Once, I even saw them entering a shopping mall together, walking side by side, laughing like a couple in love. Each time, my heart broke more, but my determination grew stronger. One night, when she was asleep, I took her phone again. This time, instead of just reading the chats, I began to take pictures of everything. Every message, every photo, every call record. I stored them safely in a hidden folder on my laptop. Slowly, I built a collection of undeniable evidence. But I wanted more than texts. I needed something that would shock people, something they could not dismiss. So, I decided to record them together. The next weekend, I followed Riya again when she said she was going shopping with her cousin. She met her ex at a restaurant. I took out my phone and recorded a video from a distance. The video showed them laughing, holding hands, feeding each other food. To anyone who saw it, it was obvious they were more than just friends. My hand shook as I watched the video later, but I knew it was powerful evidence. Another time, I installed a small recording app on her phone while she was in the shower. The app secretly saved her calls. Later, when I listened, I heard her soft voice saying, "I love you. I can't wait to see you again." And then his voice replying, "I miss you too, Riya. Soon we'll be together forever." Those words cut me like a knife, but they were exactly what I needed. With every recording, every screenshot, every photo, I was building a wall of truth that she could never escape from. By now, I had enough evidence to destroy her lies. But I didn't rush. I wanted to be patient because revenge is sweetest when it is slow and calculated. I wanted her to think everything was normal. So at home, I acted the same, kind, quiet, even caring. I didn't want her to suspect anything. She laughed on her phone. She lied to my face. She thought she was clever. But deep inside, I smiled too because I knew her end was coming. I was ready. The day was not far when I would expose Riya and her ex in front of everyone. They had hurt me in private, but I would make them regret it publicly. For weeks, I had been silently collecting evidence, hiding my pain behind a calm face. Every day felt like walking with a heavy stone on my chest. But even though I had enough proof, I waited. I wanted the perfect moment. The moment when her lies would be exposed in the worst possible way. That moment came one Friday evening. Riya dressed up more beautifully than usual. She wore her best sari, added perfume, and stood in front of the mirror longer than I had seen in months. When I asked where she was going, she smiled casually and said, "Oh, just a friend's party. Don't wait up for me, I might be late." Her words felt like poison in my ears. I knew exactly what friend's party meant. Still, I nodded and pretended to believe her. But as soon as she left the house, I followed quietly. I kept my distance, my heart racing, my mind filled with anger. She finally reached a hotel on the other side of the city. I parked my bike in the shadows and watched as she entered. A few minutes later, her ex walked in too. My fists clenched so tightly I could feel my nails cutting into my palms. I wanted to storm inside, drag them both out, and scream in their faces. But I forced myself to stay calm. I reminded myself, not now. If you destroy everything now, it will only be between us three. But if you wait, if you plan, the whole world will see what they did. So I waited outside. After a long time, they came out together, laughing and holding hands. The image burned into my eyes like fire. My wife, the woman I had loved and trusted, walking hand in hand with another man. And not just any man. Her ex, the one she had promised was gone from her life forever. I went home that night broken. My body was present, but my soul felt empty. I sat alone in the dark, staring at the walls, asking myself, why me? What did I do to deserve this? But then another voice rose inside me, stronger, louder, filled with anger. No, Arjun, you are not weak. You have proof. You have the truth. And you will not cry in silence anymore. They will pay. That night was my breaking point. The love I had for Riya turned cold. The trust was already dead. All that remained in my heart was anger and the burning desire for revenge. I swore to myself that I would not rest until I exposed them both. They thought they were clever, hiding their affair in shadows. But soon I would bring them into the light, where everyone could see their betrayal. They had destroyed my heart in private. I would destroy their pride in public. After that night at the hotel, I knew there was no turning back. My marriage was already dead, and my heart was already broken. But if Riya thought she could betray me and walk away happily with her ex, she was wrong. I decided that if she had given me pain in private, I would return it in public. I wanted her and her lover to feel the same humiliation I had felt every single day since I discovered the truth. I had the evidence, messages, recordings, photos, videos. But the question was, how should I use it? If I simply confronted her at home, it would become another fight behind closed doors. That was not enough for me. No, I wanted everyone to know. I wanted her to lose the respect she enjoyed in front of her family, friends, and neighbors. So I began to plan. First, I acted as if nothing had changed. At home, I was the same husband as before, quiet, polite, even caring. I did this because I didn't want her to suspect anything. If she realized I knew the truth, she might try to cover her tracks, delete evidence, or even run away with her ex. So I smiled when she smiled, I nodded when she lied, and I pretended to believe every excuse she gave me. But behind that mask, I was preparing for war. I gathered every piece of evidence I had into a single folder on my laptop. I organized it carefully. Screenshots of her texts, voice recordings of her calls, videos of her with her ex, and pictures of them together. I even made copies on a pen drive and uploaded them to a cloud account, just in case she ever tried to destroy my laptop. I was determined that the truth would not be lost. Then I thought about the stage. Where should I reveal it? After much thought, I decided the perfect moment would be during a family gathering. Riya loved showing off in front of relatives. She loved being praised as a perfect wife and beautiful daughter-in-law. What better way to destroy her fake image than by exposing her lies in front of the very people she tried to impress? So I planned a small get-together at our home. I told her I want to celebrate a special occasion with close friends and family. She didn't suspect a thing. In fact, she looked happy, probably thinking I was trying to win back her love. She even helped me decorate the house, smiling like nothing was wrong. If only she knew what was waiting for her. But I didn't stop there. I wanted her ex to be present too. Through a fake number, I sent him a message pretending to be Riya. Come to the house during the gathering. I want to surprise you. I knew he would come, because men like him are always overconfident. In the days leading up to the event, my anger turned into focus. I imagined the look on her face when the truth would flash across the screen. I imagined the whispers of the relatives, the shame in her eyes, the shock in her ex's face. That picture gave me strength. Finally, the day arrived. The house was decorated. The guests began arriving, and Riya moved around gracefully, welcoming everyone. She looked proud, as if she was a perfect wife hosting a perfect evening. But I smiled quietly, because I knew within a short time her pride would be shattered into pieces. The stage was ready. The evidence was prepared. The audience was waiting. And I, Arjun, was about to play the role of justice. My plan of revenge was complete. Now it was time to execute it. The night of the gathering finally arrived. The house was filled with relatives, neighbors, and close friends. Everyone was laughing, chatting, and enjoying the food. Riya moved gracefully around the room, serving drinks, smiling, and showing herself as the perfect wife. No one in that room had any idea of the storm that was about to hit. I stayed calm, welcoming the guests and making sure everything looked normal. Inside, though, my heart was beating fast. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the anticipation of what was about to happen. I looked at Riya, and for a moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. But then I remembered the messages, the videos, the nights I cried alone, and the pity disappeared. Tonight was about justice. About an hour into the gathering, the bell rang again. When I opened the door, there he was, Riya's ex. He entered with a confident smile, as if he belonged there. Riya froze when she saw him. Her face turned pale, her eyes wide with shock. She glanced at me nervously, but I pretended not to notice. I greeted him warmly and introduced him to everyone as an old friend. The relatives smiled and welcomed him, having no idea who he really was. The trap was set. After dinner, I stood up and cleared my throat. Everyone grew quiet. Thank you all for coming tonight. I began. I have something special to share. Something very personal, but very important. I want all of you, my family and friends, to know the truth. The guests looked curious. Riya shifted uncomfortably, sensing something was wrong. I picked up the remote and pressed a button. The lights dimmed and the TV screen lit up. At first, people thought it was just a slideshow of family pictures. But then the first screenshot appeared. It was a chat message from Riya's phone. I miss you so much. Can't wait to be in your arms again. Gasps filled the room. Riya's face turned red, her hands trembling. The next slide showed another chat. Don't worry, he suspects nothing. We'll meet at the hotel tomorrow. Murmurs started spreading among the relatives. Eyes turned toward Riya. And then came the pictures. Riya with her ex, sitting at the cafe, holding hands, smiling. A video clip followed, showing them feeding each other in a restaurant. There was no denying what everyone was seeing. The room fell silent except for whispers and shocked voices. I stood tall, my eyes fixed on Riya. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Her lips trembled, and tears welled up in her eyes. But I wasn't finished. I played one of the recordings from her phone. Her voice echoed through the speakers. I love you. I can't wait to see you again. And then his voice followed. I miss you too. Soon we'll be together forever. That was a final blow. The entire room erupted. Relatives shouted in anger. Neighbors shook their heads, and some women even stood up, scolding her loudly. Shame on you, Riya, one of my aunts shouted. You betrayed such a good husband. Another relative muttered. We thought you were the perfect wife. What a disgrace. Riya broke down, crying, trying to explain. Please, it's not what it looks like. But no one listened. Her ex stood frozen, his overconfidence shattered. People glared at him with disgust. He looked like he wanted to disappear from the room. I finally spoke, my voice steady and strong. For years, I gave you my love, my trust, my loyalty. And this is how you repaid me, by going back to your past and betraying me in the worst way. You could have left me, Riya, but instead you chose to lie, cheat, and insult our marriage. Tonight, everyone knows the truth. You broke me privately, but I have exposed you publicly. Riya fell to her knees, begging. Arjun, please forgive me. I made a mistake. Don't do this. But I didn't bend. I looked down at her coldly. No forgiveness. A mistake is when you do something once. But this was a choice you made again and again. The guests shook their heads, disgusted. Some stood up and left, whispering among themselves. Others stayed, just to watch her humiliation. Her image as a perfect wife was destroyed forever. Her ex quietly slipped out of the house, unable to face anyone, but the damage was already done. His name, too, was ruined among everyone who saw the truth. I ended the slideshow and turned the lights back on. The room felt heavy with tension. Riya sat on the floor, crying uncontrollably. But I felt no pity anymore. I had waited for this moment, and now I finally felt free. That night, the world saw who Riya truly was. And for the first time in months, I felt like justice had been served. The party ended in chaos. Relatives left the house one by one, whispering among themselves, shaking their heads in disappointment. Some of them avoided even looking at Riya as they walked out. Neighbors who had always admired her beauty and charm now stared at her with disgust. The woman who once enjoyed respect in society was now the center of shame. Riya sat on the floor, her makeup ruined by tears. She kept repeating the same words. Arjun, please, forgive me. I'm sorry. I'll change. I'll never do it again. Her voice was broken, her body trembling. But my heart had turned into stone. The love I once had for her had died the moment I saw her holding another man's hand. The only thing left inside me was anger and a strange feeling of relief that the truth was finally out. Her ex had already disappeared, too cowardly to face the humiliation. The man who once promised her forever had run away the moment things turned difficult. That, in itself, was another punishment for her. She had destroyed her marriage for someone who didn't even have the courage to stand by her when she needed him. The next few days were even worse for her. Calls started coming from relatives. Some shouted at her. Some cut all ties with her completely. Friends stopped visiting her. Neighbors avoided speaking to her. Wherever she went, people whispered and pointed fingers. The respect she had once enjoyed was gone forever. At home, she tried everything to win me back. She cooked my favorite meals. She cried in front of me. She even knelt down and begged. But I didn't move. Every time I looked at her face, I remembered the chats, the videos, the lies. I remembered the countless nights she left me alone, pretending to be with friends while she was with him. My silence was my answer. One evening, she said softly, Arjun, please give me one last chance. I'll prove to you that I can be the wife you deserve. I looked into her eyes and replied coldly, You had 1,000 chances, Riya, and every time you chose them over me. I will never let myself be betrayed again. After that, she stopped asking. She realized my decision was final. As for me, I felt strangely lighter. Yes, my heart was broken, but I had no regrets. I had exposed the truth. I had shown the world who she really was. She destroyed our marriage in secret, but I had destroyed her pride in public. That was my justice. Soon, I filed for separation. I knew I couldn't spend the rest of my life with a woman who chose lies over loyalty. It was painful, but it was necessary. The aftermath of betrayal is not easy. But in my case, the pain came with freedom. Freedom from lies, freedom from manipulation, and freedom from a love that was never real. Standing at the end of this painful journey, I realized one thing clearly. Betrayal is the deepest wound a person can give to someone who truly loves them. It is not just the breaking of promises, but the breaking of a soul. Riya was not only my wife, she was my partner, my best friend, my family. And yet, she chose lies, secrets, and another man over everything we had built together. But life taught me a lesson. Truth can never remain hidden forever. She thought she was smart, meeting him secretly, deleting some chats, lying to my face. But every lie leaves a trace, and sooner or later, the truth always finds a way to come out. When I exposed Riya and her ex, I did not just take revenge. I reclaimed my dignity. They humiliated me in private, but I made them regret it in public. That night, when everyone saw the truth, I finally felt justice. The moral of my story is simple. Never betray someone who gives you pure love and loyalty. Love is built on trust, and once that trust is broken, nothing can fix it. If you don't love someone anymore, be honest. Leave them, but don't cheat them. Cheating is not a mistake. It is a choice, a selfish decision that destroys lives. Today, I stand stronger than before. I have scars, yes, but I also have courage. I know my worth, and I know that I deserve loyalty, not betrayal. To anyone reading this, if you are loyal, stay loyal. And if someone betrays you, don't break down, stand tall, and let the truth be your strongest weapon.